Now the hash string is given. The next thing is we need to generate the hash code. For that we are going to use the crypto.js. So we need to install first. So I'm going to say yarn add crypto.js. Now let's go back to the coding. And first thing is that we need to import it. So I'm going to say const crypto.js is equal to require. And I'm going to mention the name, that is crypto-js. Now I'm going to apply the crypto.js methods. This is the type of encryption we are applying, and you need to pass the hash string. The code sample we downloaded from PayUmoney has given this pattern, so we are strictly following the same syntax. Now let's create the redirection string. First we are creating the object here. We need to pass the hash, the transaction ID, the amount, and few other parameters. The object which I am creating right now, as you see that there is SURL, FURL, it is again the fixed value, so we cannot change this. We need to follow. This is all given in the documentation once you download the respective payment gateway. Right now I'm using PayUmoney, but it can be some other gateway also. More or less you will see that the methods will be similar. The UDF which you see right now is basically the user defined field. So if you want to give some additional information to the string, you can. In case if you don't have anything, still you need to follow the structure. So you ought to have this blank field as well. The action URL which you see right now has test.payu.in because we have the test URL. And this is actually the redirect URL. Now here we have the API where we have done the coding related to hash string that we need to return to the client, that is the front end. So let's say res.status. We are going to return the target URL. Now inside the action, we will check by giving just console log that what do we get by calling the API. Let's press enter and we check what exactly happens here. I'm going to click on the cart to buy these two products. Now let's open the developer tool. Let's check the console. I'll click on the proceed to checkout. And there is some issue. Let's check what exactly it is. I'm clicking the network tab to see where exactly the request is made and what is being called. Alright, so now the payment.js is missing inside the index.js of the server. So let's do that. Alright, so this I need to export as well. I'll say module.exports and payment. Now let me just restart the server. And I'll click proceed to checkout. Now here things are not working because we need to parse the body. So let me first of all write the console log statement and I will restart the server. Now let's go to the output and I'm going to click on proceed to checkout. Now here you see that it displays undefined. Now let's once again stop the server. Now we are going to include the body parser. We already have installed in the beginning. So the only thing is we need to include the body parser and use it, which is a middleware. So let me just say const body parser is equal to require and body parser. Let's also configure the middleware. I'll say app.use the body parser.json, in which I'm going to pass the object with a parameter called extended true. We can also limit the JSON here. Now let's run the application, the server that is. We move to the output and again we'll try to click on proceed to checkout. And now you see that the undefined value which was getting displayed earlier, now it has the value getting displayed, that is the object value. There is also one more console we tried which displays the data. So now we have the data retrieval. It's just that we have not yet completely redirected. So that is the next thing we are going to do. So for that, we already have some documentation downloaded. There is a link which we need to configure here. So I'm going to copy that link. And I'm going to put it in the public folder. Now here you see that the script tag has the source src and also the Bolt logo, where you can decide the logo you want to put, which will be displayed at the dialog box when the payment gateway is redirected. Now let's proceed with the coding. This function is going to launch the payment dialog. So now we are creating a bolt object. Because we have added the script in the main HTML, that's why we can write window.bolt. So bolt is displayed here because we added the script. Now the bolt.launch is the function which is going to launch the dialog box. Of course, we need to pass an object literal with few parameters here. So now I'm continuing with the parameters. Now let's begin the response handler. So now let's call this function. Response handler contains just console log. Later on we will update it. Let's call the function launch payment dialog with the parameters. Now let's go to the output. I'll click few items. Let's say proceed to checkout. I am adding an exception to check what is the error. Now I can see that the error is it needs a string. Now let me work it out on this. Let's go to the server. Here the key is missing, so let me type it here. Now let's stop the server and restart. Now I'm going to refresh this. We'll add few items to the cart. And I'm clicking on the cart to check out. Now it is working the way I'm expecting. Now here you see that it has been redirected. Now the logo which you see, this you can change. Also the card is already given when we downloaded the documentation. There was dummy card information which I asked you to store somewhere, that you can type here. I'm going to type the same card here, which is a dummy card. I'm going to click on pay now. And that is a dummy OTP which I am entering here, and I will click on pay. Now you see that the payment is successful. And at the end you see that there is a response getting displayed. Now this you can redirect to some HTML page as well if you want to. Let's begin with this. We are going to redirect this to some interface, the one which you see right now in the console.